Hi there, Andre here from Peak Motorcycles. This video is one of my bike prep videos for my BMW R1250GS for a rally event. So the rally events are run by an organisation called RallyMoto, and they use both paper roadbooks and digital roadbooks. So in this particular video I'm going to be putting the digital roadbook on my bike. In this case it is this Samsung Galaxy Active Tab 3 which is going on this Touratech bracket. So I'll show you all the pieces on the table, then I'll fit it to the bike, show you how it fits, and hopefully it will be in a useful position so I can actually see it and use it while I'm riding. That's all there is to say really. There will be some other videos that go along with this one. One will be fitting a twin USB socket where the 12 volt is on the bike. Another will be fitting some bark busters to the bike to replace the BMW standard plastic handguards. I think another will be changing over the wheels, and I've also got some ram balls to fit in the mirror mounts because I'm going to use my double take mirrors that are currently on my CRF 300, but I think they're easily interchangeable between bikes. So hopefully that will make sense. I'll now show you all the bits that are going to go on, and then I'll fit them to the bike. So everything you see here on the table is what I'm going to install. It's the Touratech bracket. It's a little block that actually is going to fit around that. That will fit onto this RAM cradle specifically for the device. That's kind of a shock case, and that's the tablet itself. That's just the bolts that came with it. I'll go through everything on it as I'm doing it, but what I won't do is play it all back in real time because otherwise we'll be here all night and nobody wants that. So first up, I'm going to put the tablet into this sort of shock case that it came with. It's sort of slightly rubberized. It has gone a little bit firm out here in the garage, but hopefully I can get that in today. Maybe I should have done this in the warm instead of out here in the cold. Yeah, it has just firmed up just a little bit, nearly there. There we go. I think with that corner in. Okay, so that's now in that cradle. That's what it came with. It does have a pencil in the top there, I think. There we go, so that's now in there. Now the way that this actually fits together into this RAM cradle is it actually fits onto here. So this comes in three pieces. There's this bottom piece with a sprung element. Then there's like a bit that goes on there which just bolts in. The tablet then fits into there, and then this top piece just goes around the top like that and needs to bolt in onto that bracket. So I think what I first need to do is to bolt these pieces to that. For the assembly, this is the bottom piece that goes on there, and if you look on there, that one there is a lot thicker than the edge of this one here, and these screws actually come in two lengths. So there's some short ones which are used to fix the top piece, which goes on there, and then the longer screws which are used to fix the bottom piece. So I'm just going to put these top ones in first, I think, because it looks like those go in and then you actually fit it to it. That's that one, that's the moving bit. Put the other piece on the bottom. So there we go, that is the cradle fully assembled, and the tablet just kind of fits in to the bottom there, and then I think that's it. I mean, that does feel really solid. So now what I need to do is to mount these blocks. So one of them will mount onto here, the other one will obviously go around and clamp the bar. So I don't think, will these fit? Oh, they will fit with those. I'm just going to see if these will actually fit with the mounting hardware that came with the mount itself. I'm not sure if there's going to be enough thread, but if there is, otherwise there are some bolts that they provided that I can use instead. But you know what? Those aren't going to fit because they don't fit through the holes in the mount. So I'll save those in case I need to use a proper RAM mount in the future, and instead I'm going to use these stainless nuts and bolts that came with it. So this basically is actually the clamp, so that needs to go through that and that, and then into the base. That makes a lot more sense. So now that actually fits perfectly, so I don't know if you can see that. So with that in mind, what I will actually do now is I'll actually fit it to the Touratech bar. I might as well put that through, and then I can actually just mount that directly when I put it onto the bike, and that way I can get these bolts done up here and now. So these actually do up with a 2.5mm hex key. I'm just going to pop that in the hole. Oh, sorry, use the black ones. Before I do that, I just want to check that they are actually the right size. It did suddenly occur to me that maybe these are slightly smaller bolts. Oh no, they are the same size, they just look smaller, I think, because of the head and the washer. So it goes through there, and then through and into the bottom of the ram mount. So what I'm not going to do just yet is actually tighten that up too much, because I need to get the other four in. And because this does actually grip, they're not all going to be, well, they won't all be done up super tight. In fact, that's to come off quite a lot to loosen it up enough to get that in. There we go. I'm just going to try and level that up on the bar before I tighten it up properly. There we go. So that is sort of it for the assembly of the mount. That goes in like that, put that back on. So now the question is where that is going to fit actually when it's on the bike. So I think what I'll do now is I'll move the camera over to the bike and show you where it's going to fit, and then fit the rest of the Touratech bits and see where we are. So these are the bars on my bike. Now I've got the Wunderlich up and back risers already fitted. They lift the bars up a little bit and pull them back in. The other thing is I have this ram ball mounted through there, and I use that with a quad lock with my phone. However, what I've quickly realised is when that goes on there, that ain't going to work. And in fact, what that does do is it really does obscure the dash. I think when I'm looking through that, that's going to be right over the top of that. Having said that, I will try it. I think the ideal place for it is actually up here, but again, because of that big screen that's on there, that's, you know, it's just not going to fit. Maybe if I put the small screen on that, and I'll probably do that in another video, maybe I'll try and move it up there. I'm not sure what else I can do with the wiring to take the BMW cradle off, but I'm sure there's a way. But for now, I am going to put the Touratech bracket onto these. I think I'll move my quad lock up onto the mirror, and then yeah, I'll install that there, make sure it's clear when I'm steering and it's not catching on anything, and assuming it is, that will be my starting point for using the Roadbook. I'll just have to probably use, you can have the speedometer, GPS speedometer up there on the sat-nav, so I'll probably use that instead of being able to see the dash. Not ideal, but I'm sure it'll do under the circumstances. This actually mounts, I don't know if you can see these bolts here on the camera, but essentially I think these replace the ones that go through there with these standoffs, and then these smaller bolts on the top is what's actually used to fix the brackets in place. So the first thing for me to do is to remove the BMW bolts, and also that one that's got my quad lock mounted on it. We'll just have to make sure that when the phone's on there it's not snagging anything. If it is, I'm sure I can find another location, or I'll just take that off. Okay, so that's that piece on. So the next thing to go on here are the two mounting plates, which kind of look a bit like this, and it just uses these screws that just go into the top. I do wonder if I'm supposed to be using some thread lock on these, but what I'm probably going to do is I'll check all the torques on them later on, but for now I think I'll just put them in. Now the problem I'm seeing with this, possibly, let's see how I get on, is that when I actually fit the tablet to it, am I going to still be able to adjust and tighten up these screws? Now, this is quite loose. I guess that's to let it fit a number of different types of bikes, but hopefully I'll still be able to get that down the side of the mount. If not, I'll have to take the mount, the bar, off the back of the tablet. Okay, so that is kind of in and slightly loose, so I can hopefully fit the bar to it. So this is going to be going on in there. So that does fit and doesn't look like it'll get in the way of anything else. And actually, well, actually I think this does come up a little bit further when I put the tablet in, so it probably will obscure the screen. But it's not terrible. It's not as bad as I thought it might be. Let me just do that up. So that all seems to be all right. So now what I think I've found is that actually that is it's actually that's the plastic bracket that's moving, not the tube. Can I get onto the back of that to do that up a little tighter? Just a little bit of motion on there. Do just a little bit more. I'm wondering if I'm going to have to put some rubber tape or something around the metal bar. If I do, I think I'll probably take it off to do it, because it is a bit awkward to do it in here. Might just turn the bars to the side, I think, and then do it from the other side. I think that would be easier. Okay, that's getting there now. I think I need to tighten up that one as well. I think the lesson here is make sure that the nuts are properly seated before you fit it to the bike. Yeah, that's stiffening up. I think what I'd done is that basically these nuts weren't all the way in the holes. So when I thought I was tightening them up, actually I wasn't. Yeah, that actually feels pretty solid. So if I put that in, let's see how far that goes. Well, I think when I'm on it, I might just be able to see through. It's not going to snag on anything, which is useful. So just to give you a quick look of how that looks once it's actually on the bike. I mean, it is definitely obscuring the dash. I mean, you can just about see it behind there, but I can certainly see the nav up there. I mean, I don't think it's ideal. But having said that, I am going to give it a go, and I'll do maybe the first Peak District on-road route using it just to see how I get on. The bracket itself does seem to be really sturdy. In fact, if I just show you around the side, and you can see exactly how that is mounted up and under there. So it's that plastic block with that bar. I've not put any thread lock. I will check all the torques for those to make sure it's all done up correctly. But yeah, I think it's a good enough start, so I think I'll use that for the first of the digital roadbook events that I'm going to do. So that's it. That is my video on how to fit a Samsung Galaxy Tab Active 3 into the dedicated RAM cradle, and then to fit it to the eBay special 3D printed bracket to go onto the Touratech bracket designed specifically for the R1250GS. That was all a bit of a mouthful. Hopefully the video is not too long. It did seem to be a little bit of faffing around just to try and get all the bolts done up tightly enough. But actually, now that that's in there, that does feel pretty secure, pretty solid. It's definitely not going anywhere. A couple more things I still need to do to the bike before I can take it out. One is to fit the power for this. I suppose I could just run it from my quad lock power, but actually I'm going to replace the 12-watt socket with a USB socket, so there'll be a video on that. I'm also going to put my new wheels, my new old wheels, with the Metzler Karoo 4 tyres on. And then I'm going to replace these mirrors with some ball mounts, which will be used for some double take mirrors. And the last thing is to replace the handguards with some bark busters. Once I've done all that, the bike should be good to go. Hopefully we'll get that done today. When I initially decided to do the icebreaker series with RallyMoto, this was back in the autumn when I was trying to get through a few other things, and then between Christmas, work, having 3 weeks in India in January, time's kind of got away with me. So here I am at the beginning of February. Icebreaker challenge finishes at the end of the month, so I really do need to get this done and to get out on the bike and to see what it's like. So I hope this has been interesting and useful. If it has, thank you very much for watching, and maybe I'll see you next time.